Hey, cheers, everybody. Oh my God, after a long time, and we are back with a very fun interactive session. So, I guess by this particular thumbnail, you must have understood that this is not going to be that technical session we used to host. This is something different we are attempting for the first time, and I guess everybody knows me that I'm a quite good fan of open source world. So I thought of like bringing you somebody who who in a student world, I guess I didn't find anybody who doesn't know this guy. So about few days back, there was a very my social media was full of this announcement. Everybody was participating in KubeCon. And with the CNCF, you must be associated. If you are a person who loves open source things and open source world, you must be knowing this individual. So yes, we'll jump on to Bill in a minute. But before that, what I want to tell you, I was going through the CNCF site, and I'm quite excited that many of my students, many of my friends have been working as an ambassador. More importantly, they are working as a contributor to bring something new to the society and help the people who are not yet associated with the open source world. So what is interesting is that I always see that even if you take an example of me, I'm a known coder person. I don't know coding at all. But many of the people still think that if you want to do a code or if you want to code, you have to be into the open source world, or only then you can participate into the open source contest. Absolutely no. You can be a contributor, you can be a voice to many, you can be a promoter, and more importantly, if you have that passion to help somebody else, what not, open source is the right place for you. And when it comes to open source, CNCF is something that every individual should talk about. So today I have the marketing manager of CNCF. He is Bill. And I guess Bill doesn't need any introduction at all. But still, I was like talking to Bill and I found out he's an athlete also. So he loves to walk around, he runs the races, and more importantly, he loves to talk to all the individuals. So I thought of let's bring Bill to our podcast, and interestingly, let's hear it from him that what was his experience hosting this big conference like KubeCon, where we have more than 26,000 plus people participating. Yes, he's working as a marketing manager, but before that, he was a sales executive with Kubernetes, and more importantly, he has served with a lot of different responsibility. So this podcast will help you to understand that what are the different ways that you can promote open source CNCF. More interestingly, what are the different opportunities that are lined up, and towards the end, as promised, there will be some surprise announcement from Bill exclusively for Cheers with Gaurav people. So stay tuned till the end, and we'll have so much fun going around. So without further ado, let's call out Bill and let's have cheers with him. So chit chat with Bill begins. Hey Bill, cheers.
Cheers.
So I guess it's a morning for you, Bill. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for being on Cheers with Gaurav.
yeah, absolutely. I'm super happy to be here. But everything you said so far, I feel like we don't even need to talk anymore. Like I've agreed with everything, and you've covered it.
No. So very first part, Bill. So when you have decided to be at CNCF, were already in the mind that hey, I'll be encountered with a lot of coders, known coders, and these wonderful students who has a lot of brilliant ideas, or you were always the fan of open source world, or this is something that you always wish to do?
Yeah, so I guess a little bit of my background is I had no clue I was going to get into CNCF, open source, or even coding at all. I was actually
Yeah.
originally a scientist, so working with like real mice instead of computer mice.
Okay.
And then through a different like series of things, eventually ended up at like a startup that was doing some stuff on Kubernetes, and that was kind of my first introduction into the whole world of like
Okay.
open source and CNCF. Like at that company, I also wasn't coding, but I started to learn about and contribute to CNCF projects. Actually, there's a question in the chat from Shuluk that I was told you should know the basics of Kubernetes for participating in CNCF. It's actually not true. Like the first thing that I ever fixed in Kubernetes was just a broken link. I didn't know anything about Kubernetes, but I was like, this link in the documentation that I'm trying to figure out doesn't work. So I went in, like found the correct link, and then that was my first contribution to Kubernetes. I didn't know anything about it, but I was already starting to become part of the community. And from there, it's kind of like snowballed. I came to CNCF and just started to get into the community, met lots of amazing students doing really cool stuff, and kind of went from there.
Right, right. So this plays a very important role. If you ask me, like when I was in my college days, definitely I was not close to open source, but I was attracted to Red Hat, and that's why I finally landed up into the Red Hat part. So I just want to ask you that what opportunities you see that if a student get in like first semester of his college days get started with the open source contribution or get involved in the communities, what is like your experience you would pass on to the students that hey, this is something that you should always give a try?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, if you're a first semester student and you're already looking at open source, you're like light years ahead of me. So awesome job on the head start, like really cool. Yeah, I think the exciting thing about like open source is you're interacting, engaging with so many different people around the community, and you get to meet people from different companies. And as you start working with them, you're actually building kind of like a portfolio of your work, and you're gaining professional connections, and they'll be able to help you get internships, for example, like through the LFX mentorship program or at the company themselves. I know there's a lot of stories where people started contributing to different open source projects, and then they met maintainers or other people, and then they got hired on as interns into those companies. If you want to learn more about those stories, there's a couple on the CNCF Community Spotlight talking about how that happened. And then, right, you can then have those internships, and those will lead to job opportunities after graduation. So jumping into open source is actually like a really good career boost if you want to get started.
Right. And like, I guess the most important part in today's world, definitely, I guess I have personally see this pandemic as an opportunity to build my network because I'm the one who has always believed in that network is your net worth. So, how you see that in-person KubeCon is definitely, or any organization who hosts such a large events, definitely gives you a like variety of people to interact and build your network. But how do you see this virtual environment gives opportunity in terms of networking?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm actually super excited about virtual events because it expands the opportunity so much. So our last in-person KubeCon was in San Diego and it had 12,000
Yes.
people, but the latest one had 26,000 people. And so that's nearly twice as many people that are at the conference that you can interact with, engage with, and it also reduces the cost for students. We do have diversity scholarships and need-based scholarships for students to attend in person, but obviously we don't have unlimited funds. So I think the virtual aspect of the conference is really expanding the accessibility of the conference to students. We can either pay for like 3 students to come, or we can have 1,000 students come virtually. And so it's a really great way to jump on board. And all you need as a student is an internet connection because CNCF wants you to get into the community. We're willing to provide free tickets to students. We want to help you get involved. And hopefully at this next KubeCon, there's even going to be a full-blown student track because there is so much interest at this last event and there is so much energy brought by the students.
Yes, definitely. And I guess this guy who is rightly watching us, Kunal, I guess he has created some lot of buzz around the CNCF. And trust me, he happens to be one of the person who excites me that whenever a new video rolls out on his channel, and a big shout out to Code for Cause for that, he always made me think that what wonders I could have also done if I could have got a mentor or like a team like Code for Cause who has bring a lot of change in the society. So recently, Kunal also talked about the same his experience when you say 26,000 people coming into the KubeCon, and more than like I guess 60% of people are only the students who are watching us in the KubeCon. So, Bill, my question is, how you feel as a marketing manager who helps like to build such a big conference? What was your personal experience seeing these numbers getting n number of times from the in-person events, and what was your biggest learning, anything that you want to share as an individual?
Yeah, I think like my biggest learning is kind of what I've said before of like the virtual aspect really expands like the reach, and that's what I'm so excited about. Like for these virtual conferences, is that we can provide access to so many more people, and so many more people can interact and engage with each other. There is like so much excitement happening in the hallway track, even though it's just like another Zoom call. It's that, it's kind of like at that personal level. People can help get their questions answered. People are willing to jump in, help, chat. I think that's what I'm most excited about.
Right. And if may I ask you, did you feel a bit pressure hosting this virtual event? Because I believe you must have expected that numbers are going to shoot up from the in-person event.
Yeah, absolutely. So luckily at Linux Foundation, we have an amazing events teams. They actually handled most of the day-to-day logistics. I
Yeah.
was running around trying to do different presentations, chat with people, like drop into the hallway. So I wasn't under a lot of pressure, but I know the events team was, and like usual, they pulled off an awesome event.
Right. And I guess what advice you would give to like all the professional people out there? Like student has the freedom, like they can always go jump into one track to the other track. Anything that you would give advice to professionals that you should come and also encourage your teammates to do participate and in a way do networking with the students or somewhere like that way?
Yeah, so I think KubeCon is also a great place for professionals because you're learning about new technologies that are coming out. You're meeting with people. Like I know actually, so my current job at CNCF, I met all the people I'm working with right now at a previous KubeCon. So it's a great way to find things. Even if you're not currently looking for a job, I actually met them back in Copenhagen in 2018. And now I got hired in 2020. So even 2 years later, it still had a positive impact and positive benefit on my career.
Right, right. That is something means while I was planning for this session, I got a chance to interact with a lot of people. But before that, I also shared my experience with you that this particular conference gave me a lot more boost because there were a lot of new partners onboarded. There were more like booths that I could visit because working in a like IT and close to Kubernetes space definitely makes me wonder that what other competitors are also doing. So how we can collab with them, because competition is not good at all. Collaboration always help you to excel in your career. And so I thought of like, okay, let me try to reach few of the students who wants to share their experience. So one of them I got to interact, and he also agreed to come on live. So his name is Divyansh, and we are just going to bring him in a minute. And basically we shared a common thoughts that we both actually went to a lot of booths. We interacted with the professionals, and more interestingly, when we were getting to the booths, the videos demo, or I should say the educational papers which they have shared, that was really really good. So all thanks to you and the entire team of CNCF who have bring down the lot of partners for us, sponsors for the CNCF, and that's the reason we could even interact with a lot of people out there. Right. So let me bring on Divansh, and he has some questions for you. Hey Divansh, you are there. Hey, cheers.
Hi, hey Gaurav,
Hi.
hi Bill.
Hey,
So,
Hi.
kudos to first of all, kudos that this year's KubeCon has been a giant success, and I have a question for you related to this year's KubeCon. So, like, it's been a giant success, and a major part of it is because 69 percentage were the first timers, or you can say beginners. So, how this has changed the dynamics of the CNCF community?
sorry, can you repeat the question?
Uh, uh, this year's KubeCon,
Yeah.
a major part of it was like first timers or beginners joined KubeCon this year. So, how this has changed the dynamics of the CNCF community?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple different ways. Like actually, so for every single conference, we published a transparency report going through the numbers of who actually attends the conference. And I would say actually pretty consistently, there's always about like 70%, 60 to 70% that are first time attendees of KubeCon. And what this says to me is that the community is always growing, always bringing in new people, and always expanding the pool of possible contributors. So I think that's really exciting that that number is always so high. What's even more exciting about that is that basically from KubeCon EU Virtual last year to this year, like the total number of attendees almost doubled. And so you're doubling the size of new contributors, new attendees to the conferences. And so what that means is there's a lot of new energy, a lot of new excitement, a lot of new people coming in. So that's like the benefits. The things that we have to be concerned about and like the risk is like kind of like the questions in the chat is people are asking like, how do I get involved? How do I get started? You know, these are like the first time questions. And so it's kind of like our responsibility as a community to create a really easy way and well-structured way for new contributors to get on board and to start engaging with the ecosystem, to start contributing to projects or start feeling like they're a part of the community. And so I think I'd like to give a shout out to the TAG contributor strategy under CNCF. They're doing a lot of great work to help the projects under CNCF structure their how to get people as contributors and like onboard them into the projects. And so I know I've used their resources when I've been setting up various CNCF projects and be like, hey, this is a great resource. And this will be, you know, those 69% of people that are attendees that are first timers at KubeCon will start contributing to, will consider contributing to your project. They have an easier way to do that. So you should check out this documentation.
Yeah. Also, like I've been a part of CNCF community for a while now, and as a student, I feel really overwhelmed by the projects that the CNCF community is doing. So I feel like every student must be a part of community or so in that way. So I want to ask you, like, how students can, you know, take privilege of communities like CNCF and open projects, open source projects under their umbrella.
Yeah, so I think like the great thing about the community is that there are people that are interested in what you're doing. There are people that are expecting you to show up to meetings. There are people that are depending on you, and you kind of it can help you find like a place like in the world. And so this actually kind of relates to like another question that we had in the chat. Like I get confused which projects I should choose to contribute to in the CNCF. Is it the graduated, sandbox, or incubating? And like where should I start contributing? And so like what I would recommend is like one based on your interests. Like is there something currently that you're learning at school or that you had in an internship that you'd like to learn more about, and that'll help you like narrow like the projects. And then they each kind of like have their own advantages and disadvantages. Like Kubernetes as like the most advanced and like the graduated project has like a very structured way to get involved and has like a very defined like contributor ladder. And there's like smaller communities within the communities. The difference is with like a sandbox project is a lot less structured, but it's easier to get in on the ground floor and, you know, work your way up to like maintainer as the project grows and picks up more people. And so I think it really depends on what you're doing. And like from my own personal experience, like, you know, you can go to a couple different meetings and things don't work out, and that's really fine. Like I know I attended like quite a few different like Kubernetes SIG meetings. I think I attended like SIG PM, like SIG Azure, and like SIG Docs, and ultimately like didn't end up like joining any of those, but I joined another project. So I would recommend, you know, kind of starting out and like going to a few different meetings, see what is interesting to you, look through like the good first issues for like different SIGs or different projects on GitHub, and then figure out what is actually like interesting for you.
Yeah, so like that's a really good answer. And as you just mentioned that there are different sub communities under the CNCF community. So another thing that the CNCF just started was its first ever student community. So what's the thought process behind it?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to Kunal because he was really the instigator behind that whole community. And he's done like a lot of great work getting more students involved in the CNCF ecosystem. The kind of like impetus behind that community is really seeing all the energy from students around KubeCon and giving them a place to collect and gather and, you know, learn more about CNCF. And so we want to really kind of see that grow, and we continue. I think we're really seeing students as an important and really growing part of the CNCF ecosystem. And I'm excited to see where kind of all that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's great. And shout out to Kunal as well. I
Yeah.
was also part of the Code for Cause community. So yeah, also I recently attended the KubeCon Europe, and another KubeCon is coming right up. So how it will be different from the previous KubeCon?
So the next KubeCon?
Yeah, North America. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting. Like right now, we're planning on having a hybrid event. So part of it is in person, part of it is virtual. I think it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. Like as I think everyone's aware, like the COVID situation is different everywhere. Like I know I'll definitely, I hope to attend in person, but I'll also be attending like the virtual part too. So I think they both have their advantages and disadvantages, and I'm excited about the virtual thing because I think we've seen so much energy of people being able to engage and interact from like their home country. So it's going to be different. If you haven't been to KubeCon before, potentially apply for a diversity scholarship to attend, or just like get one of the tickets for the virtual event. The other thing that I'm super excited about is what is on the screen right now. Kunal has also done amazing work organizing a lot of people for a student track at KubeCon North America. And I think that's going to be really exciting because we've seen such a growth of students to have something specifically focused just on them.
Yeah, so that's great. And also, like the CNCF community has grown over like 20,000 people now. And I saw on the Slack channel too that it has been growing like exponentially. Even there are many students joining the community as well. So, how CNCF has changed like over the years? How it has been, growing very rapidly? Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about the changes in CNCF because it's really not that old of an organization. I think it's probably either 6 or 7 years old right
Yeah.
now. And it's really just like two people now. It's kind of grown into a larger organization, but we're like still pretty small. And I think the community does a lot of great work to help support what CNCF does. A lot of the work and the initiatives and the things that we do are actually driven by the community. Like we at CNCF are kind of like the support staff, so for whatever the community needs and what the community wants. So when I said like the things about like Kunal is pushing a lot of things in like the student community and like the student track, like that's been his initiatives because he's seen like the needs in the community, and CNCF is just kind of here to support and provide like the tools around that. That's what we're really here for, is in service of the needs of the community. So if there's something that you'd like to see, like definitely feel free to reach out to me if you think there's something that CNCF could be doing better. Like my Twitter is Breakaway Billy, so contact me on there, or just like drop me an email, message me in Slack. I'm always open to hearing suggestions on what CNCF can do better to serve the needs of the community.
Yeah, that's great. Like I've been also engaged in open source projects for a long time now, and it is really amazing to see such communities encouraging beginners and college students to start with such big projects as well. So yeah, that's great. Uh, yeah, that's all from my side, sir. Will you?
So, Divyansh, you have stolen one of my question when I was about to ask that what is gonna be new in NA. So, what is gonna be new in the KubeCon? And I am so excited to hear the students because if you ask me now, Bill, I am quite judging a lot of hackathons, and I see always a new idea popping out. So, students are someone. If we actually listen, they have like ideas in terms of like n number of time. You cannot even think of working as a professional, and people are always crazy to show up their ideas. So I always believe that yes, students should get a right stage, get a right chance to demonstrate what they love. And all good shout out to all the leaders who has brought down this idea into the action, the launch of student community. We are always there to help, like Kunal or Bart, or I guess the Popcast, or Dan Pop, and many other fellows who are helping throughout the students to bring out the right message. Now, before we jump on to the live chat, guys, so feel free to drop your questions for Bill. But before we jump on to the live questions, so me and Divyansh have planned a fun round for you, Bill, because we thought like you must be bored about answering a lot of questions around, and everybody must be like asking you what do you do as a CNCF marketing manager and all. We thought of like changing a bit for you, right, Divyansh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's bring down some funny questions out there. So it is going to be a sort of a rapid fire for you, Bill.
Okay.
And towards the end, for all the viewers, surprise announcement from Bill. But before that, we'll do something exceptionally which you haven't seen on any of the YouTube videos with Bill. So we'll try to make him some sing or like say something in Hindi, and we'll try to bring it later on the side. Okay, so let's get down with our rapid fire. So first question I'll ask Divyansh, or you want to ask your first question?
No, you sir. You ask first
Okay,
question.
I'll just start off. So let me give a very very easy question for you, Bill. So Bill, one idol individual that you idolize. This person you idolize. One.
Yeah, number one in the Kubernetes community, Kelsey Hightower. The thing I love
Okay.
about him is his storytelling ability and his real skill to be able to, tell like this story that you're like, oh man, like that really hits me right here. I just remember being at KubeCon in Seattle, and it was like I was in like the sponsor showcase booth, and like Kelsey was coming on stage, and it was just like a wave of people like going over to the screen to like listen just to Kelsey, and he was talking about the like black woman at NASA and how she trained up a whole generation of engineers, and that's what it really means to be like a 10x engineer. So I would super recommend like anybody that wants to learn more about like how to become figure in the community, go look up Kelsey Hightower on YouTube. You won't regret listening to any of his talks. They're all just amazing.
What I'm wondering, I can recall my thought, the session. Before I could have said, Kunal was already there to spoil my every single thing. He already had the chance to interact with him, and that's where it goes. Yes, definitely, storytelling is an art, and he is master of that for sure. And big shout out to him as well. Okay, Divyansh, next question coming from your side.
So like everything's been virtual for quite some time. So what would you prefer, early morning meetings or late night meetings?
Oh, early morning. So being based both in Europe and in the US, like it's so much easier to have the early mornings like here in the US than like Europe. Your day just drags on forever. So early morning.
Okay, so next question I would ask. So Divyansh just asked about the meetings. I would ask you, are you a morning guy or a night guy?
Uh I I would say both. My girlfriend would say a morning person.
Divyansh, next question to
That's
you.
nice. So your what would you prefer, Twitter or LinkedIn?
Twitter for sure. It's so much more fun. Everybody's just messing around.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so this is very very nice question that I have prepared and I have thought of after a long. So, Bills, do you remember your 10th grade percentage?
Oh yeah, it was so like in the US it was a like we have a 1 to 4 scale, and I got a 4. So
Oh, great. Divyansh, next
Great.
question.
That's great. So I'll steal a question from Kunal in the chat. So how do you manage on multiple meetings simultaneously? That's a great question, by the way.
working in the community, this is a highly perfected art form because we have multiple things going on at once. Get 2 devices. one you have like on the headphones, and like the other one you have here, and make sure they're both on mute.
You got it right. So, next question. This is gonna be a very awesome. Your favorite actor?
Oh, my favorite actor. I get made fun of a lot because I don't know any pop culture and I don't know any movies or actors. I'm like freezing up. I don't have one. Sorry. I it's probably my greatest shortcoming is I don't get pop culture references.
Then I guess I let me help you out. Then let's change the question. Favorite actresses?
Still, just
Oh my God. So
yeah. Sorry.
then
Like
then I guess I could give on a rapid question. So Bill is single or married?
I'm single. Well, I have a girlfriend.
Ah, okay. So she is your favorite actress for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
You got it. So big shout out to her. And I guess on that note, Gaurav Sharma is getting a very special gift, and that's how you give a swag for yourself. So Bill, that is on you. I help you out in that.
Okay, thanks.
So Divyansh, next question from you.
So your current favorite artist apart from Bart, like Bart's the artist,
Oof.
So apart from him, who's your
Yeah.
favorite artist?
So I actually just ordered some stickers yesterday from Martin, I think it's Watson, and he's like a urban artist. My actually favorite art museum in the world is Urban Nation, which is an urban art gallery in Berlin. So if you're ever in Berlin, it's a free museum. It's awesome, like really like big splashy works. So
That's great.
Great. Okay, your favorite food item?
I love food. I'm definitely a dessert person. Like every year for my birthday, I make my own ice cream cake. So that's my favorite. But it's only once a year. The daily stuff in Berlin, like right down the street from me, is my favorite doner shop in the world. I probably have doner kebab at least once a week, maybe a few times. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Great. Divyansh?
So I know that you are an athletic person, Bill. So what is your favorite sport?
My favorite sport is definitely cycling. I used to be semi-professional cyclist, and so yeah, I love it. Like this summer, I'm actually planning on doing a 2-week bikepacking trip around Europe, just like I did last summer. So I love cycling.
Your
That's
favorite
great.
drink?
My favorite drink, I'm from Wisconsin, and we love our beers here. So I'm gonna have to go to a New Glarus Spotted Cow just because you can only get it in Wisconsin, and not for any other reason.
I guess before you ask your next question, Divyansh, we have a very nice question in the chat. So Rutam is asking, do you love Marvel for Iron Man or Iron Man for Marvel?
Marvel for Iron Man.
Yeah, means definitely. Divyansh, your next question, buddy.
So how many hours you spent on emails? Like you are a business guy, so you must be getting so many emails day in day out.
I'm gonna take a pass on this question because I don't want to answer and accept the reality to myself.
That's a nice way to go. Okay, I have a very this question. I guess the audience is gonna love it. So CNCF is very famously known for their creative swags. So t-shirt, hoodies. So what do you prefer, t-shirt or a hoodie?
I'm gonna go with a t-shirt, just because they're easier to carry, and I travel a lot, so it's easier to just throw in the bag. Hoodie's too big.
Great. Yes. Divyansh?
So like I know you are a music fan too. You listen to music. So what's your current favorite song?
My current favorite song is probably so in Berlin we have a lot of really great DJs. My favorite one is Dave Dinger, and he's got a set from when he played at Blau, which is awesome. So check him out on SoundCloud.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
So so Bill, one thing which I want to ask you, can you tell us that one thing that you always do as your day routine? I mean, this is something that you never want to miss.
Yeah, I'd say I probably work out every single day. And I would say that's the time that I just kind of chill out, and I think about a bunch of different topics. So I'll go out for a run. I'll probably have some problem, and I'll think about it. And a lot of times I come out with the solution, and sometimes I don't, and just enjoy the run. So
right.
Yeah,
and one thing
really
that you hate the most.
What?
One thing that you hate the most.
One thing that I hate the most. I hate losing things, but I'm really good at it. So I'm like, where's my phone? And then it's just I don't know, I left it on my bed or something, but I do it all the time and I hate it.
Right. Divyansh?
So since you are so busy in meetings and checking emails as well and everything, so how many hours do you sleep in a day?
I'd say I probably average like 7 hours a day. Yeah, depends. Like some days more, some days less. Some days you're in a different time zone and you're like, I don't know how many hours I slept or didn't.
So do you love pets?
I've actually never had a pet. So sorry for all the pet lovers out there.
So I guess all the pet lovers still. I also don't have, but yes, if I ask like cats or dogs, what do you prefer?
I'd have to go with dogs.
Yeah,
More friendly.
so am I. Divyansh?
So it's like I'm a student and I've been always on like on phone or like laptop. So what? How many hours do you use phones in a day?
Do I use what? Oh
Phone,
my
phone,
my
mobile phone.
phone. Uh I'd have to look. Probably. I mean, I spend most of my time on my laptop, so my phone time usually isn't too high. Though I could basically do my whole job from my phone. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask this part. I always ask this question to me. What is that most expensive thing that you ever want to buy or we want to purchase that?
Uh, Most expensive thing I bought but didn't want to buy is I just bought a house. So
Yeah,
it's expensive. Most expensive thing I really want to buy is like always like a new bike.
you buy. Okay. So the
That's
next
great.
question was luckily the same. Do you like cars or bikes?
Oh, bikes for sure. Yeah.
Bikes. Okay. Divyansh?
That's great. That's great. I like to ask something like we are talking about CNCF. So a community apart from CNCF that you like the most.
I mean, Code for Cause, like they're great people. Like, what else do I have to
Yes.
say?
We all are big fan of them and
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely the entire team. So Bill, let me tell you all that part also. So basically the entire Code for Cause team, I had them on the podcast. So as Ganga, Anuj, Kunal, Ekta, everybody was there and I'm personally loving the fan. So next question comes in that way only: marketing or coding?
Marketing. I don't know how to code.
Yeah, that's nice. So one thing that you admire the most.
One thing that I admire the most is when people can tell stories. Like that's why I love Kelsey Hightower because he tells a story and it just hits you.
Okay, that's so nice. Divyansh?
So talking about stories, I we are always fascinated with different books. So what's your favorite book till now?
Oof, my favorite book. It was Garden of Eden by John Steinbeck, just because his like use of imagery is like really really good. But I've read so many good books this year. My favorite ones like related to coding, if you're looking for things, is Cathedral and Bazaar. Like just read that one. That one is like one is referenced a lot in open source, but it has so many good essays about like how open source developed. Another random one I just read was Open Source Licensing for Business by Heather Meeker, and it talks all about like how the complexity of like legal licenses have shaped the open source communities. I never thought I'd like legal stuff, but it's super interesting. And then also Working in Public by Nadia, talking about like how do we create open source and make it sustainable are really cool ones.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
So I
amazing.
guess Gotham has put it down a question: jobs or business?
Employees over businesses. People are what makes the
Great
world
argument
run.
first.
A business is just a stack of papers.
Yeah. So, what is your biggest addiction, Bill?
My biggest addiction, probably working out, just because I do it every single day. I like need it. I like my parents will get mad at me. They're like, just go for a run.
Okay, Divyansh, over to you.
So what's your biggest fear?
uh, oh man, I have lots of them. Probably like heights, falling off stuff. Yeah,
So I guess you don't want to do skydiving or
I
like
have
something like
gone
that.
skydiving.
Oh,
Sometimes
that's
you just
great.
have to face your fears and just it's worth it.
Yeah, sure.
Right, right. So, my last question would be that one thing that you want to do in your future? Like once this global pandemic gets up, anything that is on your bucket list that as soon as this travel got started or something, this is something that I'm gonna do as soon as possible.
Yeah, probably see my girlfriend because we're stuck in different countries right now.
Oh, great,
Is so maybe not the answer you're looking for, but yeah,
great, great,
yeah, yeah, pretty
That's
much.
great.
awesome.
So
So
my
Divyansh,
also my last question for now is when are you visiting India? Because many people are dying to meet you, and many students are dying to meet you here as well. And
Okay, I have to give a shout out to Nikita on this because she's been asking me for like since we met. It's been like I don't know, like 3 years. So I first owe her a trip, and it's like on my list as soon as I can. I've been planning it for a long time because she's been asking me. So I am planning a trip there. I just need to figure out when I can make it happen. Obviously, right now it's not the perfect time. I wish I could have come last year, but obviously not working out. But it is definitely on my list of places I want to go.
so I guess the next follow-up question, I'll give it to you, Divyansh. I guess you shouldn't have asked Bill that when he's gonna come down to India. Probably we should have asked then when KubeCon is gonna happen in India.
oh yeah,
Yeah, this is a big debate about where we're hosting it, like who the co-chairs are. I know there's also a massive push from Paulo and the whole Brazilian community where they want a KubeCon Latin America. Um, yeah, I think it'd be super exciting. I know the community there is massive, and we could do some really cool stuff. But it's not my decision, unfortunately. I would definitely put it there.
But like definitely Divyansh made a right point that students basically at this point of time, because we are working closely to India culture, definitely people are quite excited. And definitely trust me, Bill, the day it get announced that yes, KubeCon can get happen in India, you are not gonna believe the number of people who are going to come out there. Trust me, that bars are gonna so high that I cannot even think. Trust me, it is gonna be like that way.
Yeah. The one thing I will
Yes,
give a shout out for is that there is a Kubernetes Community Day in Bangalore in June. So if you haven't seen
yes.
that yet, that's kind of like our mini KubeCon events. I definitely recommend checking that out.
Okay, okay. We will be looking like in another few days.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So Divyansh, I'll get you in a moment. So people,
yeah.
now if you have any question, feel free to post in the chat window and we can gonna ask. So Bill, a couple of things before you leave, which I want to ask you. So anything that you want to encourage all the students to join the student community, what benefits they can avail from it? Anything that you want to say?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is like, don't feel like there's like some barrier to entry. Like you need to have something first before you can start joining and start contributing. Like even on the marketing side, like the easiest thing you can do is like fixing, even like links in the documentation, in improving that thing. Like documentation is a major part. Like if you can start writing blog posts, if you can do like live streaming or invite people on just like this. There's a lot of things you can do, and there doesn't need to be, oh, I need to do X first before I can start joining the contributing. Yeah, so the biggest thing I would say in open source, but also in life, is really just showing up and saying and raising your hand and say like, I want to help out with that.
Right. So it's all take a courageous step that I always encourage all the students to take it. And definitely, everybody must have faced the difficulties at the beginning. And you must have like experience like taking your new Android mobile phone or a iPhone. You definitely experience a change. So, Bill, I want to ask you from your personal experience, what was that changing moment you have seen in your career? Like talking about sales or being an athletic, now being a marketing manager, and all these roles must have been giving you also a thrill, or I should say, um, some sort of excitement to try something new every single day. And so does
Yeah.
all the students feel, because to getting started with the contribution, initially you won't get success, and that's a challenging part. People feel down and they also sometimes get depressed and they leave it. So what would be the advice for them? to keep it going?
Yeah, I would say expect a lot of failure on the journey. Like I usually try to have at least like 5 options, knowing that 4 of them won't work out. And I would say the more chances that you take, the better your odds will become. So I'd say, like my easiest way to get over failure is like, okay, what's the worst that could happen? And it's like, oh, then I just have to move on to one of these other options, and that's an easy way, to keep moving forward because there are a lot of opportunities in life, and if you can just keep moving forwards, then you'll, I think, find a lot more success.
Right, right. And I guess many leaders always say is that don't have plan B, because if you have a plan B, definitely you are going to invest less in plan A, which you are actually working on. But in reality, I personally see that even if you have plan B, still put down as a backup that, okay, if this thing doesn't happen, I'll try to make it in like in accordance to plan B, and I'll work on that. So what would be your advice to the known coders? Still, can they participate in the open source activities, being as a marketing or ambassador programs or something?
Yeah, so they can like absolutely contribute. I know there's a couple great talks at this past KubeCon talking about like non-code contributions to the CNCF community, getting started in your pathway to CNCF citizenship via Community Bridge. I know there is a internship. Bart made a video about somebody who did a UX internship for Kubernetes. There's lots of different ways to like get involved. So I'd start with those videos and then just kind of like click on more links and check out more options from there.
Right. So one of the thing that I always see is ambassador program, that even if you are not a contributor to code, definitely you should join as ambassador, spread the words, be the voice of the community, and spread the right message to the people who wants to join. What other opportunities in CNCF a known coder can also avail, Bill?
Yeah, so there's another thing that we need a lot of is event organizing. So there's the cloud native community groups, like the cloud native students, like that is another great way to like contribute to the community, is just to organize events, help out with the Kubernetes community days, drop into the Bangalore channel and see if they need help with that. That's another way to meet lots of people, provide a resource to the community and get started on your career. Like I know some people that started with organizing events and meetups, and then they just kind of like work their way up the ladder into various like careers and positions after that too.
Right. And with this pandemic, many of the organizations have shifted their focus from in-person events to the virtual con. And so does the reason I believe many of the new sponsors have reached out to you as well. So one thing which I want to know from you is that what do you see when any new partner request come to you, any new sponsor request come to you, that we want to associate with you? Because many of the people and organization here in India also wants to be the part of CNCF and get that limelight so that they can help or they can reach with their product to the wider audience. So what is that thing that you always look out, being a marketing manager, that excites you to talk, to know more, or how one should see these things?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, like I was on a new member call yesterday, and I think the exciting thing for me working at CNCF is being able to engage with so many different people across the community and be able to talk about like all the great things that the community are doing. What we do with each of our like new members is go through a member onboarding call, and we ask about what is their company trying to tackle, and what are their biggest challenges, and what would they like to focus on, and then being able to point to them to different areas across the community. I think that's the amazing thing about the cloud native community, is basically whatever business concern, whatever business challenge, whatever business outcome companies are striving towards, there's other people in the community also working for that, and there's something to join and get involved in.
Right. So I guess that is pretty much, because many a times I also get a request that, hey, we want to be the part of open source world, but we don't know where to start because we don't know coding. So I always encourage them that at least you try to be a good ambassador for the community.
Mm-hmm.
Search out the space, participate in these conference, build your network, because ultimately that is going to help you introducing to the new people, which can share more ideas, or at least they can guide you where to get started with. So
Yeah.
that is again a very good part to get started. So one of the our live audience has this question that, so having knowledge on programming language like Java or Go, will it help to contributing to CNCF? And does the CNCF contributions consist of testing part like unit testing and all?
Yeah, absolutely. So having knowledge of programming will help you contributing to CNCF if you want to contribute code. Now, if you don't want to contribute code, that's totally fine. You don't need to have knowledge. But if you want to
Yes.
basically dive into a project and add new features and functionality, then you should probably know Go, and that's the best route to do. And CNCF contributing, does it consist of like the testing part? Yes, absolutely. I think that's super important in open source is, does our software actually work? So I know Kubernetes itself has a whole like SIG dedicated just to testing, and it's SIG testing does a lot of really cool things, and making sure that people and organizations around the world can all run Kubernetes in a consistent fashion. And those tests are actually part of the Kubernetes conformance program that lets everybody understand that they're all working on that all their Kubernetes are interoperable and consistent. So if you're interested in testing, I would definitely recommend testing out or checking out SIG testing in Kubernetes.
Right. And similar Shlok has a question that I want to know the best book for cloud native, as I like to read the books. Any reference?
Yeah, so there is Chris Short has a GitHub repo. That's the best Kubernetes books. Let me see if I can find it really quick.
I guess I remember I have downloaded around like 70 to 80 like products books that are available, the case studies, the white paper during the booth visits. I downloaded all of them because working in the industry, I love to read the statistics that are being shared by the other professionals, and that is really great. And the content was really awesome. The statistics that they showed and displayed, it was really phenomenal.
Yeah, so I'll just message it to you in the private chat and you can post it. So it's kubernetesreadme.com, and that has a great list of books for Kubernetes. And then, yeah, on top of that too, I would also recommend the books that I mentioned earlier too.
Sure. So let me just quickly post it up, the link in the chat. So the next question coming from Sarthak, he's asking, when is the next KubeCon?
The next KubeCon is in LA. This is the hybrid one that's going to be both in person and virtual, and it's October 16th to 20th, so in the fall.
I guess we have that restrictions left up by then, and I hope we can also attend in person. Love from all US for sure. Yes. So the next question coming out from Harsh, can you give a roadmap for CNCF mentorship program?
Yeah, so we actually also have a GitHub repo on this too, and I'll send you the link so that you can post it in the chat. Sure. Like the biggest thing is, so there's any CNCF project can apply to do this every single quarter. And so all the mentorship programs run for 3 months. So we have applications every single quarter. The biggest one is Google Summer of Code, which is in the summer, but every other quarter, we also run the LFX mentorship program too, and some in Outreachy too. All the information is in the repo, and I'd kind of recommend doing that. It's pretty consistent every single time. And also I'd mention, like when we were talking about failure before, don't be discouraged if you don't get in the first time. I know I've talked to a couple different people like Mrityunjay, who I did the College to Cloud Native session with at KubeCon. He was saying he applied 3 times before he got into GSOC. So definitely, if you don't get in the first time, just like keep on going, keep contributing, and there will be a spot for you.
Right. And the last question, which we are going to take it, is from Gautam. He's saying, which is better knowledge of multiple technology or perfection in one particular technology?
So I would say you can never have perfection in any one technology. It's impossible because things are always breaking, things are always going flaky, and there's always an edge case you haven't seen. And where I've actually found the most success in my career is at the intersection of different worlds. When things overlap, there's less people that have that expertise. Maybe there's a lot of experts in like for me, for instance, it was like people that had experience in science and also people that had experience in cloud native. Now there's a lot of people in both communities, but the number of people that do both of those is a lot smaller. And so you're really setting yourself apart then is when you can, work at these integration parts. It's the people that can overlap between multiple communities I think are going to have the most success.
Absolutely. And that is something I have also believed. Learn one and then try to integrate whatever you learn next. So that's the best part, always goes around. Okay, so Bill, we are towards the end and everybody must be on the live, must be wondering that what is that surprise announcement that we can have. So anything that you want to say now, that surprise announcement that all we have been waiting for.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a discount code for CNCF, like training and certifications for you. It's going to be coming out as 50% off, and Gaurav is going to be dropping the link. There's a link in the chat, and we'll be getting back to you about the code too. So if you are interested in discount on CNCF training and certification, fill out the form, and we'll get back to you.
Awesome. So people reach out the pinned comment, and also what you can do is like in the video description, you can find out the link of this particular Google form, fill it out, and you will be having this discount voucher 50% on training and certification from CNCF. I'm personally a big fan of CKA, CKAD, CKS, and many others. That please go ahead, and if you are the one, do spread this message, ask them to visit the video, and you have the link in the description. Fill it out and you can receive an email from Bill, and very soon, who knows, you might be the one of the lucky one to get that discount voucher. Awesome. So let me bring Divyansh back. So because many of the people have been saying this, and Bill was quite excited to do this with us, and Sarthak has said that part also, to do our signature step, Chak De Fate, before we ask leave Bill. So Divyansh, you must be knowing, right? When we do the Chak De Fate, because we're quite excited. And when there's good news and somebody says us, so we always do. So this is basically a way to like jump out of our seats and say, but definitely we are not going to jump it out. Otherwise, my family members are going to come and kick me out of the house at this point. So definitely, let's do it. So Bill, I hope now you know how to do Chak De Fate. So let's do this. So Divyansh, are you also ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So let's do 1, 2, 3. Chak De Fate.
Chak De Fate.
Yeah.
Let's hear it from Bill once, huh? Right? Bill,
Yeah,
please
yeah.
can you do it for once again for us? Chak De Fate.
Chak De Fate.
Yay, Chak De Fate. Thank you so much, Bill. So Divyansh, that anything that you want to say to Bill before we sign off?
Yeah, so it's great talking to Bill every time, and even I was on the KubeCon and I interacted with you there, also in Twitter, LinkedIn, or anywhere I find you. It's like it's very pleasing to always interact with you and as well as Gaurav sir. So thank you both of you for giving opportunity to me to interact with you both in person. So yeah.
Always a pleasure. So, Bill, before I say thanks to you, any word for all the viewers who are watching this video, please?
Yeah, last thing, like I said before, CNCF is always meant to be a resource for you, for the community. If you have any questions, anything else, please feel free to reach out to me on the Slack, on Twitter, over email. Like, always happy to hear from the community and what suggestions, improvements, or comments you have on the community. We want to make it better for you. So that's all I have for today, and thanks for joining.
Thank you so much, Bill, for being here, and thank you so much from the entire Cheers with Gaurav team to give us this 50% discount vouchers on all training and certification. I'll share down the entire data with you very soon as I receive the feedback, and this is gonna be for one day. So for all the viewers who are watching, please do share it with your connects, and I'll also personally ping Kunal and everybody team, because Code for Cause is something that they are doing great. So I'll share with the community, and let's see. Till next 24 hours, the link is open, and after that, we'll share down all the training vouchers. So thank you so much, Bill. As everybody says in the open source world, keep learning, keep sharing, and stay connected. Thank you so much for being here on Cheers with Gaurav. I
Yeah,
personally enjoyed
thanks.
the conversation. Thank you so much, Bill. And for all the viewers out there, please feel free to reach out to me on my Insta, on my Twitter, or on my LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to interact with you all. And till then, see you. Keep learning, keep sharing. And one thing that I want to say, whenever you find a slot, go and get yourself vaccinated. Most important thing in these tough days and these tough time, keep yourself and your loved ones safe. So till then, cheers with Gaurav signing off. Do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. There are some amazing podcasts that are lined up for you. Till then, keep sharing, keep learning. Thank you so much.